Okay, let's get. If you don't know me, I am Jeff White. I did your training actually twice a few years back. And so now I'm doing my own business, MLS Road School, and I'm going to be doing the training for today. So we're going to be doing 5 hours today, and we're going to be doing 5 hours tomorrow. So just to review again what the schedule is going to be for today, from 9 to 2, and then we will have a 10-minute break at the end of the hour, and we will start up again at the top of the hour. So the first thing that we're going to do today is the quick launch bar. Now, I like to start with the quick launch bar because this is something that a lot of people don't realize you can use for all kinds of things. So what is the quick launch bar? Well, it is right here. This is the quick launch bar. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 6 things that you can type into the quick launch bar to use in the system. 6 things that I find are very valuable. So normally when I teach, I'm hands-on. I walk around the room. You know, people have their laptops out. Now this is going to be hard to do. Some of you may try to follow along on your computer while you're watching this. Others may just take notes. So I want to make sure I'm giving you plenty of time to write things down. So when I say, you know, take notes or write this down, please get out a pen and paper, and I want to make sure that you have something you can walk away with when you're done with this class, things that, you know, you can try out on your own. So the quick launch bar. Now the first thing I'm going to do in the quick launch bar is I'm just going to click inside of it. And when I click inside of it, you will notice that it shows my recent searches. So some searches when I was prepping yesterday and then this morning. So these are draft residential searches, your last 5. And then obviously this account has been used for a while. But what's cool about the draft searches is if your computer crashes or you forget to save a search, you can find your last 5 here. So, or maybe you take a phone call and someone calls you up and you're working on something and you start doing a new search like, oh crap, I forgot what I was doing. You can find your stuff here. So if you click inside here, you will see 5 recent searches. But then you also see some quick launch history. So you'll notice I was typing in some things, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. So if you just click inside of it, it shows you some things that you've been doing. Now, the first thing we're going to do, and I want you to write this down, number one thing you can type in here is an MLS number. So number 1 is MLS number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some examples. I'd like you to write down these examples so you have them on your sheet of paper. So, you know, tomorrow or the next day, like, oh, how did he do that? You actually have a specific way to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in an MLS number, 324452. 324452. So I've typed in an MLS number, and you'll notice in the drop down, it's giving me some options. The first option is an actual listing. So this is what I'm looking for. Let's say my client gives me an actual MLS number and I want to pull it up. So they found this on another site. But how the quick launch bar works is it searches all through the database. So when you type in that number, it's wondering, okay, maybe this is actually a search, a residential, land, or commercial. So it gives you some other options. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to type in an MLS number. So I'm going to click on this. And when I do that, it will pull up that MLS number. I want to be clear here. This only works for one MLS number. In the next hour, we're going to do a search for MLS listings if we have multiple MLS listings. So I just want you to make sure in your notes, this is for one MLS number. A lot of what we're doing with the quick launch for the next hour is going to be a quick way for you to do things. So a lot of the focus this next class is, especially with the portal or for searching, is now, like right now you have virtual open houses, but normally once this is all over, you're gonna have open houses, and you want to be able to pull up something really quickly while you're at that, you know, kitchen counter. You know, you have someone come in, they have some questions, you want to be able to, you know, do a search really quickly, send them some listings really quickly. That's a lot of what focus today is going to be on. It's going to be how to get more efficient with the system. You know, beginner class, you just point out, okay, this is here, that is there. My intermediate classes are more like, okay, well, how can I use the system more effectively, more efficiently, so, you know, I could spend more time with my clients and less time on the computer. So that's what we're really going to be focusing on. So just to reiterate, the number 1 thing in the quick launch is an MLS number. So we're going to type in 324452. Now I can pull this up, or pay close attention to what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over to the right and click on a new tab. If I want to open this up in a new tab, that is not a problem. I can have as many tabs open as I'd like inside of Flex MLS. So if you're adding a listing, someone calls you up and gives you an MLS number, open it up into a new tab so you don't lose the work you're doing. Or you want to pull up content management. So all these things you can pull up into a new tab. Okay, so that was the number one. Number two, write this down. Number two is address. Number two is address. So what I'm going to do is, let's say, for example, my client has given me an address, something they were driving by and they say, oh, this house is for sale. Can pull up the information? So what I'm gonna do is type in an address, 5008 Raham. Okay, so you'll notice I haven't even typed out the entire address. I've just done the street number and the street name, and it's come back with 2 results. Now pay close attention to this. When you're doing searching, you're going to come back with 5 results as a max. That doesn't mean there's just 5 results. So if you were to type in something and you see it 5 times, it may have been listed 5 times, or it may have been listed 12 times. So 5 is the max here. Now we see that this has just been listed twice. 1 is active and 1 was canceled. So if I click here, or if I want to open up to a new tab, that is not a problem. I'm going to click on this and it will pull listing. So if you don't have an MLS number, but you have an address, this works. Now, pay close attention to how I explain this. This means it actually has to be in the MLS. Later on, we're going to do some searching around an address. It doesn't have to be in the MLS, but if you type in an address here, you see that it's been in the MLS. I pull up this property. So that is an address. So number 1 was an MLS number. Number 2 was an address. So we're going to do one more address just to verify that this works. 513. I'm starting to type in Honeycutt, and you'll notice it's already found it. So you don't always have to type in the whole thing. It finds it, but you'll also notice it says subdivision of Honey Ridge. So when we get to the number 5 example of search, you can do searches for like subdivisions, other things as well. So we'll get to that in a little bit. So I'm going to pull this up, or if I want to open it up into a new tab, just go over here, use my left mouse button, and I'm going to open this up into a new tab. Again, if I don't want to lose the work I'm doing, or I want to have multiple tabs going at the same time, that is not a problem. So that pulls up that listing. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is number 3. Number 3 is radius. So please write this down. Number 3 is radius. And there's a few different ways you can do a radius search. I do want to point out, when we do an address, that's not going to work today just because there was a bug. Flex MLS, I believe, is fixing it today. I'm going to give you the syntax. I'm going to give you the words to show you how it works. It just won't work likely for this class, but it should work for tomorrow's class. So what do I mean by radius? Well, I can do a radius around an MLS number. So let's say you wanted to do a CMA and you want to do a radius around that MLS number so you can get comparables. That's an easy thing to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in 1 mile from. Now, what I want you to do on your sheet of paper is write down 1 mile from, 2 miles from, 5 miles from. So it's not just 1 mile, but the 1 mile is the minimum number you can do here. And in the second hour of the searching, the next hour will focus on a way to do less than 1 mile. You just can't do it here in the quick launch bar. So I'm going to type in 1 mile from, and I'm going to type in 925 Oakhurst. Now, like I said before, there is a bug currently. Normally what you would see is you'd actually see 1 mile from 925 Oakhurst, and you would click on this, and this would go into basically show you the map with a 1 mile or a 2 mile or a 5 mile radius, whatever you've typed in here for the listing. So the key thing here, and I want you to write this down, when you're doing a radius search, you usually can use a street number, a street name, and a street suffix. So 925 Oakhurst Drive or Road, whatever it is. That usually works. But sometimes if that's not working, what you're going to want to do is, so I want you to write down both examples. 1 mile from 925 Oakhurst, and then we're also going to do 5008 Drive. Now you'll notice that I'm not going to use any commas here when I do Olive Branch. Now you don't always have to do the city and the zip and the state, but if it just cannot find it, then we're going to do it. So I did 1 mile from 5008 Braham Drive, Olive Branch, MS 38654. So I want you to write down that entire sentence in your notes, just so you see how this works. You'll see that circle is circling right now. There's currently a bug. They're fixing this today. So that is how you would do a radius search around an address. Now, I want to be clear. So when we did number 2, an address, that was an actual address for a listing. Because watch what happens. I'm going to type in 50808 Rob. It finds it. Now watch what happens when we type in 5009. It doesn't come back with anything because there's not actually a listing with that address. So number 2, the address, it has to be an actual listing. But when it comes to the radius search, number 3, it doesn't have to be in the MLS. This right here, when we type in 1 mile from 5009 Braham, let's imagine that our clients, they want to put their property on the market. So it's never been in the market before, but they want to list it. And so they're asking you, hey, can you do a CMA for my property? You want to do a 1 mile or a 2 mile radius around that address. This 5009 Brahma doesn't have to be in the system, because what this is going to do, and this is probably what the bug is that's getting fixed, is this information gets sent to Google. And on the map tab, I'll just point this out real quickly. You'll notice this is Google Maps. So what it's going to do is it's going to take that address, it's going to send it to Google, and it's going to create a radius around that address. Again, it doesn't even have to be in the system for the radius to work. So again, number 2, an address has to be an actual address, because if we type in 5008 Braham, we find it because it's an actual listing. If we type in 5009 Braham, doesn't work because it's not in the system. But for number 3, the radius, it doesn't matter. I can do 2 miles from 5009 Braham, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get this working for the when we do CMAs. But then you would see an actual 2 miles from, we click on that, and what it would do is it would switch to the map tab, and you would see a blue circle 2 miles around that location. Again, it doesn't even have to be a listing in the MLS. So the purposes of this class, how I like to explain it is again, you have a client, they purchased a house or they built a house a long time ago. It's never been in the MLS. They want you to list it, and they want you to do a CMA. What can I get for this house? When you send this information to Google, it plots it with that address, and then it puts the radius around that MLS number. So that's how you would do an address search. Now, I can do 1 mile from, 2 miles from, 5 miles from. I can also do an MLS number. So if I do 324452, this normally would work as well, or 1 mile from, not 1 miles. What this will do is this will give, okay, this one looks like it's working. We'll try it out. So an MLS number has a fixed point. So what it's going to do is you will see the map. Give it a second. Now, so everything is blue. That's because it's zoomed in. So watch what happens. I'm going to zoom out. Now, when we do an address, it's going to work this exact same way. It's just, again, that bug is getting fixed sometime today, I've been told. So that is a 1 mile radius around that MLS number. That's a point where the address is going to work the exact same way. And what's great about this is you can do this, and then if you switch to the Edit Search tab, you'll see there's a circle, the radius, and then you can put in your other search parameters if you would like. So to sum up with radiuses, 1 mile, 2 miles, 5 miles from, and an address. The address, again, is not working today, but it should be working tomorrow. The other thing we can do is an MLS number. And let me zoom out. Okay, we'll go back towards Hernando. And what I'm going to zoom way in just to find a location because I want to point out something. Okay. So DeSoto County Museum. This is what I'm going to use for my next example. Or we could do the DeSoto County Courthouse. Now, this is not going to work today because of that bug, but I do want to point out the 3 things you can do in radiuses. 1 is an MLS number. Number 2 is an address. And number 3 is a landmark. What I mean by that is think of these as landmarks. DeSoto County Courthouse. So what I could do is 1 mile from DeSoto County Courthouse. This is a landmark. This information is going to get sent to Google, and it'll do once if it can figure out what you're asking it, it's going to go there, and it's going to find that as the fixed point. It's going to do a radius around it. Now, be very careful here on this. And what I always say when you're doing radius searches, after you've clicked on that radius search, always switch to the map tab to make sure it's found your correct location. Because if I were to type in 1 mile from Starbucks, it's not going to find it. Now, if there's only one Starbucks in Hernando, you could do 1 mile from Starbucks, Hernando, MS, so that it knows exactly where it is. There's probably only one DeSoto County Courthouse, so I'm fine not putting a city. But for another example, if you did 1 mile from Walmart, Hernando, MS, again, no commas, because the commas we're going to use later on when we're doing searching. But 1 mile from Walmart, Hernando, MS, assuming there's a Walmart there, that would give you as a fixed point, and it would do a radius, the 1 mile, the 2 miles, whatever, around this location. If you have any questions, please type them in. It looks like we've had some questions come in. Tommy is going to take a look at those and then email those to me during the break, and then I will answer them at the top of the hour. And I just keep checking my phone in case there's any texts or emails coming in regarding questions. So if there's anything that's really important that I have to answer right now. Okay, so check your notes. Number 1 was an MLS number, 324452. And I'm just reviewing because I know some people are probably coming a little bit late, so I want to make sure everyone gets this first hour fully understood. Okay, so that's an MLS number. Click on that. So that was number 1. Number 2 we did was an address. So I type in 5008. Okay, it's already found it. So I'm going to click on the active listing. Now, what I can do is I can go to the right and open this up into a new tab. But the key thing to remember with addresses is this is an actual address. If you type in 5009 Braham, it's not going to find it because it's never been in the MLS before. And let's just close these extra tabs. Number 3 was a radius. So we did 1 mile from, 2 miles from, 5 miles from. And then, okay, Tommy just sent me, yes, this is being recorded. So, and then we did an MLS number. We did an address, which unfortunately is just not working for this class, but the bug should be fixed. And then we did a landmark. Now we see here, Pleasant Hill Elementary. Key thing, 1 mile from Pleasant Hill Elementary. Now, if I type this in, ideally Google knows exactly where to go, but because there may be other Pleasant Hill Elementaries across the U.S., it may not find it. So if that was in Hernando, I don't actually know what city. I'm just going to type in Hernando, MS, so it zooms into that location. So what I'll probably do tomorrow, assuming the bug is fixed today, for the CMA class, I'll test this out just a little bit. for those of you that are going to be showing up tomorrow. And I recommend everyone that's taking this class today, please show up for tomorrow because we're going to be building on the skill set from today. Okay, so just to sum up radius, we did an MLS number, we did an address, and we did a landmark. But the key thing here with landmarks, or really I say with any radius, always switch to the map and make sure that, you know, that point is where you're looking for. It's not in Kansas or some other place, because when this information is getting sent to Google and it's coming back with its best guess. So this isn't Flex MLS. This is actually the Google API integrated inside of Flex MLS. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is name. Please write this down. Number 4 is name. And so what do I mean by name? Well, if you have anything, if it finds this name anywhere inside the MLS, it's going to pull up the information. So I'm going to type in Amanda. So when I type in Amanda, I see, well, there's some listings on Amanda Drive and Amanda Cove, but there's also 3 members, Amanda, Elizabeth Fowler, Hayden, and Childers. So if I want to pull up any of these people, I can click it on a new tab. So this is an easy way to find other agents. So it pulls up all her information. And if she has any listings, can do that. We'll do another person, we'll do Mike. So we see members. Now, remember what I said before when it came back to search results. We see 5 options here. That doesn't mean there's only 5 Mikes in the board. There could be 20 Mikes. It's a common name. So it may make more sense to use the last name. So I'm going to do Pate. There we go. So we see Mike Pate and we see Tina Patel. Click on Mike Pate. And it's going to pull up his information. So he has his profile photo. And you can do that right here. But this is a name of anything in the MLS. So if you have a saved search, or you have a CMA, or you have a quick search, anything that you have that's named something, it's going to be in there. So example, I'm going to type in Luke. I have a contact by the name of Luke Skywalker, and I'll probably save a search later called Luke Skywalker 150 to 200K. So excuse me. This can be a name of anything in the system. So it's not just members. Again, it's contacts. Let me pull up my saved searches, and I'll show you me. So I have let's see here, my saved searches. Give me 1 second. Okay, Jump 1984. So if I were to type in Jump, there we go. I see a saved search of Jump 1984. Let's see if there are any CMAs on this account. There's a class CMA. So if I were to type in class, I will see that CMA. So again, number 4 is name. This is a name of something in the system. So a search, a CMA, a contact, a listing collection, or a person in the board. Now, that was number 4. Now, number 5 is search. Number 5 is search. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually do some searching here. And I'm going to give you some different examples for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in some syntax. I'm going to type in some words, and I want you to write down the syntax exactly as I type it in. So you have examples. So when you try this back at home, you realize, oh, wait, I knew I could do this, but how did he do it? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to type in land. And now I'm going to use a comma. I don't use the commas when we're doing addresses, because when you do a comma, it lets the system know, okay, here's one thing I'm searching for. Comma lets it know, okay, I'm going to search for something else now. So what I'm going to do is land, comma, space, 100 to 150K. 100 to 150K. And we see right there, land 100 to 150K. So a lot of the searching, number 5 we're going to be doing is these are the things like I mentioned before. You're at that kitchen counter at an open house, someone comes in, and they may not even be interested in that property, but they want to talk to you, the expert, and say, hey, well, what's going on in this area for land, or this price range? And maybe you only have a couple minutes to work with them. So you do a search really quickly, and then you can save that search. You can email those listings. It takes you a couple minutes. You've got a prospective client right there, and by using the system efficiently. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this. And what it's going to do is it's going to do a land search between 100 and 150K. And if I click on edit search, we see 100 to 150K. And it defaults active to active contingent. We have 66 results. If I were to go to list, I could see all of those listings. Or if I wanted on the edit search, I wanted to put in any other search parameters, like maybe I want to put in, let's see, we find 10 minimum acres. This brings us down to 26. And then I could even draw a map shape if I'd like. In this next hour, we will be focusing much more on map shapes. So I got 5 results. It zooms into that shape, so I can always zoom out. But if you were doing this for, at that open house, or, working the floor, go up to save, go to email. You basically done search very, very quickly. Now, another thing I'm going to do is closed within last. Now, these exact words, close within last, not close within the last. Close within last, we'll do last 6 months, comma, space. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1-1.5M. 1-1.5M. So K stands for thousands, M stands for millions. And you'll notice it says residential, land, and commercial. Oh, I spelled months wrong. Give me 1 second to fix that. There we go. So we see the last 6 months, and we see 1 to 1.5 million. Now, pay close attention to this. It says residential, land, commercial. It's going to bring, when you're doing a search, it comes back with just the first 3 alphanumeric listings, or for the templates. So if you needed something like, we have rental, what I could do, now obviously 1.5 million won't work, but if I were to type in rental, comma, space, then it would give me the rental option. So close in the last, if I could do like, $1,000 or something. So just to show you how that works. Okay, so we're gonna do that again. We're gonna do closed within last, again, not the, closed within last 6 months, or 7 days, 2 years. So I'll give you a second to write down that. Closed within last 6 months, last 7 days, last 2 years. So months, days, and years all work here. Just give you a second to write that down. I'm trying to really slow down and go as slow as possible, because normally I teach hands-on and I'm walking around the room and everyone's trying things on their computers. This online thing is a bit of a change. So just trying to make the best of the situation. I was in Tennessee last week. My sister lives in Collierville, and I was going to do your training, and obviously that did not happen. Okay, so we're going to do 1-1.5M. And then I'm going to click on this, and we'll see if there's any nice properties that have closed within the last 6 months in your MLS. So nothing in the last 6 months. So maybe we'll try last 3 years. You'll notice the date right here. There we go. So there was one, but I have noticed there were some properties, I think they were like 2-3 million. So it could just be the price range that I'm doing. Okay, so that was one example that we did. And just to sum up, we started with land, comma, space, 100-150K. So check your notes, make sure you have this written down. So I've given it a property type, and I've given it a price range. Then what we did is we did closed within last 6 months, 3 months, and I did 1-1.5M. So the K stands for thousands, whereas M stands for millions. And let's actually do 1 to 4 million. just because I'm pretty sure there would have been some higher end properties lately. And so I can click on this, or remember, don't forget to open up a new tab if you don't want to lose the work you're doing. Okay. Looks like there's some active listings, just nothing that's closed lately. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is this is where we're going to get nice and fancy. We're going to do a bunch of different search parameters. So I want to make sure you write down the exact syntax so then you see the format that you can use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in active, comma, space. So I've given it a status of active. And then I'm going to type in 150 hyphen 200K. So whenever you're typing in syntax here, what I want you to do is focus on the dropdown, focus on the results that are coming back so it knows what you're asking. Because if you type in something, if I don't do the K, it doesn't know what that is. So it just knows it's active, and I do a comma and space. Okay, well, what is 150 to 200? It doesn't know. You have to give it certain things for it to guess because it's searching all of the Flex MLS database, trying to come back with some results for you. So I'm gonna do active 150 to 200K. Now it's okay. Okay, that's a listing price, comma, space. Then I'm gonna do 3-4 bed, 3-4 bed. So it says 3 to 4 beds. So again, read the syntax, read the output down here to make sure it's understanding what you're asking it. I'm gonna do a comma, space. Now this time I'm just gonna type in 2 bath. It says 2 plus total baths. If I don't give it a range like 3 to 4, I just say 2 bath, it assumes that's the minimum. So 2 bath means 2 plus total baths. If it has to be 2 total baths, 2-2, then it limits it to 2 total baths. But we're just gonna do 2. Most people like extra bathrooms. Do a comma and a space. And then I'm gonna type in 1500 hyphen 1800 SQFT, not Taylor Swift, SQFT. And you'll see, okay, 2 plus total baths, 3 to 4 beds, 150 to 200, that's right. 1500, 1800 total heated square feet, and satisfactory. So all the things that I have right here, it's found it. So I'm just gonna give you a minute, make sure you write down the syntax because we're gonna get really fancy in a little bit. But if you just see how powerful this is, I'm telling it a status, I'm telling it a price, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, and square footage. Now, this is not every search parameter. And what I mean by that is you look down here, we see things like property subtype, acreage. Some of those fields just don't work here. This quick search works across all 150 plus of Flex MLS's customers. So things like, garage spaces, not everyone has a field called garage spaces. There's certain fields that it's the exact same everywhere. Those work. But something like a property subtype, which would be really cool, actually isn't super common across a bunch of different boards. Some of the smaller boards, they just have a property type, but not a subtype, so it wouldn't work there. So literally what you do is you would type the stuff in. Once you do the search, switch to property subtype, and you know it has to be a condo or it has to be a townhouse. That just takes you about 5 seconds extra. So I'm going to type in these search parameters, and hold on, I'm actually just going to copy this because we're going to use this in a little bit. And let's pull up this search. So it does this search, and it has 26 results. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking. Well, can I do a location? Yes, you can. So I want to make sure that you write down all these search parameters first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here. I'm going to do a comma and a space. And in your notes, I want you to write down the word location under. I'm not going to type in location because that actually doesn't mean anything. But I want you to think of location because there are different options for location. Now, what do I mean by different options? Well, under location, I want you to write down the word radius. Or you could say number 2 radius. Remember we did 1 mile from and an MLS number or 2 miles from and an address. You can do that syntax here and it will do all of these search parameters with a radius around that MLS number, address, or even a landmark. 1 mile from, Pleasant Hill Elementary, Hernando MS. If you have a client who's looking to buy a house within a couple miles of the, elementary school because they've just got a job there, they're the new principal, you can do all these other search parameters and then do that. And what's really cool about this is, let's say again, someone's in town, they're staying at a hotel, they come into an open house and they want to talk to you, the expert, and you knock out this search in about 20 seconds. You take a look at the listings and you fire off an email to them or save a search under a minute. You got a bunch of people at the open house, and you don't have a lot of time to spend with them. They now see you as the expert, and so you're getting them the information that they want anyway. So that's what's really cool about that. So I could do 1 mile from, and we'll do an MLS number, 324452. And this one should work. We'll actually try this one out. So the MLS number should work. Now that MLS number, I believe, is a really nice house, so I'm probably not going to get any results back. No, but just to show you how that does work. Now another option of location is, so radius is one. Another one is city. So watch what happens when I type in Hernando. City of Hernando. It finds it right away. Now that is, and I'm going to pull this up into a new tab and we'll take a look at the search. Okay, so there is one result. So that one does work. Now, if I were to type in Olive Branch, the problem with Olive Branch is it's 2 words. So it thinks I'm asking 2 different things. So it says City of Olive Branch, subdivision of Branch. So what you would do here is you would type in City of Olive Branch. And it says city, so it knows the city of, lets it know this is a city. Where you just type in Olive Branch, it thinks it's 2 things. Where Hernando, if the city is just 1 word, it's fine. Another thing you can do here is sub of. So if I type in sub of Allendale, subdivision of Allendale. So I pull up this search. Let's see, do we have any properties in Allendale with those search parameters? We have 3. Now, if I were just to type in Allendale, assuming there's nothing else named that, it should find it. So with this, just be careful when you're doing searching. Make sure you check the search that it works correctly. So if I do, okay, this is subdivision of Allendale. There's nothing else that has that name. But some places, if you have a city and a subdivision, if there's Olive Branch is the city and then Olive Branch Meadows is the subdivision, it's searching all of Flex MLS. It may not quite figure out what you're asking it. So whenever you do these searches, just make sure you switch to the Edit Search tab to double check that it is correct. So I'm going to go to Edit Search, make sure, yep. And if we had to do that, property subtype, it has to be a single family detached. Takes a couple seconds extra, 3. So it happens to be the same 3 results. But, for certain price ranges, in maybe Hernando, there could be, half of them are condos, half of them are single family detached, do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to type in all the syntax again, just so you can double check your notes and make sure you understand this. We're going to do active, and I could do active pending if I want. So I can do 2 statuses, 150 to 200K. Remember, K is for thousands, M is for millions. 3 to 4 bed, 2 bath, and then we're going to do 1,500, and this time we'll just do 2,000 square feet, SQFT. And then in your notes, you're going to have written down the word location. You don't type in the word location, but examples of location would be a radius, remember number 2, so 1 mile from and an MLS number, 1 mile from and an address, or 2 miles from, 5 miles from, and a landmark like the elementary school. Other option would be city of. Now, Hernando works fine because there's only 1 word. But if like Olive Branch, I'm going to want to type in city of. So it's just personal preference how you want to type this stuff in. but you want to make sure it's actually finding what you're asking, so look at your syntax. Another option we can do here is sub of. Now, Allendale is the only thing that's called Allendale. It finds it. Otherwise, you might have to type in sub of Allendale or sub of Olive Branch Meadows, whatever it's called. So we're going to do Allendale. We'll pull this one up. And it finds 9 results. So I get edit search. So there was some bunch of pendings. I can do the property subtype. We want to do single family detached. So it's the same 9. Do any other search parameters, but this is something, again, you jump to the edit search tab, it only takes you a couple seconds extra. Like I said before, all these fields are not up here. It's just your basic things like statuses, bedrooms, bathrooms, that kind of thing. Okay, so that was number 5. That was the search. Now the final thing we're going to do here, number 6, is a menu item. Number 6 is a menu item. So I'll give you a second to write that down. Okay, so what do I mean by a menu item? Well, your menu is right here. And when I click on menu, I see all my options. Now you'll notice add listing, change listing. There's a star next to these because if I uncheck the star, watch what happens up at the top. Uncheck change listing, it removes it. I check change listing, it adds it. So you have an option to add or remove things. Your menu is here for the things that you use on a daily basis. So like payment portal, well, I'm only paying things every so often, so I'm actually going to unstar that. But if I want to pull up a payment portal, I can type a menu item in here called payment. And it finds it. I can pull up the payment portal. Or I want to pull up the opt-in status report, OPT. This opt-in status report, everyone write this down. The opt-in status report is really important because what it does, and I'm going to actually open this up in a new tab. I probably won't see anything because this is just the test account. But it actually shows you if anyone's pending or if they're undeliverable, if they're confirmed. You're using subscription emails in the system and you want to make sure that your clients are receiving them. Check the opt-in status report, like say once a week, because you may send someone a subscription email and think they're getting the subscription, but if they don't physically click on that says, yes, please sign me up, or if they click on a manual email that will also opt them in, you may think like for 2 months or 3 months, someone's getting emails, you haven't heard from them. They're still pending. They've never actually clicked on anything. So for Flex MLS to ensure delivery of emails, they have to physically opt in. So it's really cool. The other thing, like say, I want to pull up my saved searches. Now, I don't need to type in the whole menu item, just enough of it to recognize it. I can pull up my saved searches, and there are all my saved searches. So what I mean by menu item is all these different things here. Once you know what something is called, it's really easy for you to just, even go in there. I do almost all my searching right from the quick launch bar because I find it's the fastest thing. We'll be doing market summary reports tomorrow in the class tomorrow for stats. I want to pull up a market summary report. There we go. So I use the quick launch for all of my searching. I just find it is really the easiest way to do things. So let's sum up menu items. Number 6 is menu items. So we see here, you may just notice 5 options and yours are different than mine because you've never changed it. But if you go to the menu, you look at where the stars are. So what you might want to do is spend a couple of minutes going through, okay, I really like the opt-in status report. I don't need the office member search because if I want to pull someone up, I could just type in their name, or I could even just type in office. It pulls up that office member search right here. So I'm going to put the things that I do on a daily basis. So I want to see my listings, my saved searches. I use RPR a lot, so I'm going to add that there. And if there's anything else that I want to add, like say maybe my market summary, and there's a button right over here that says reorder. Right now I can't click on it because it's actually showing me the Zoom who's talking, which is me, so I don't want to mess it up. But if you reorder it, you can actually change the order of these things. And then, so put the things that you use on a daily basis up here. And then when you want to pull up something, once you know what they're called, I want to copy a listing, type in copy. There I go. or I want to pull up the hot sheet, just type in hot sheet. Okay, so we got about 3 more minutes till we go to the break. So I just want to sum up. So I know some people came in late. Want to make sure everyone checks their notes and they understand what we were talking about. So for the first hour, we focused on this neat little thing called Quick Launch Bar, it's called Quick Launch. So it's the fast way to do stuff, but it actually is quite powerful. So what did we do? We typed in 6 things. The number one thing we did, the first thing was an MLS number. So 324452. That pulls up an MLS number. And I can click on this and pull it up. So if my client gives me an MLS number, something they found on Zillow, pull it up. There we go. Next thing we did was an address. 5008 Braham. Now, like I said before, this means it actually is in the system. If it doesn't find it in the system at any point, it doesn't come back with any results. Where for radius searching, it does not matter. So if I pull this up, there we go. Okay. Now the radius search was 1 mile from 324452, 2 miles from, 5 miles from. It gives me a radius search. Now the MLS number is a fixed point. And it's going to pull up that search. Let me just close a couple of these down. So it's going to do a radius around that MLS number, whatever distance, 1 mile, 5 miles. And it's blue because it's zoomed in. If I zoom out, there we go. The other thing we did was 1 mile from, and we did an address, 5008 Braham Drive. Now, this is just not working, like I said before, because there's a bug that should be getting fixed today. Hopefully it gets fixed today, and then I can demonstrate it tomorrow. But if it does not find it, you can always do Hernando MS or wherever this is located. Actually, looks like Sardis 36668. Put in the entire address, it should find it. The final thing we did was 1 mile from, and so we see McIver Church right there. McIver Church. Now, this is probably a church name across the U.S. So you might want to type in Sardis MS just so it knows exactly. I'm not using commas here when the address is, because remember, commas are reserved for actual searching. Then we did, so that was 3, that was radius. 4, we did a name, so I could type in the site like Mike, find a member named Mike, or type in Luke. This could be a name of my contact or a search. There was a search called Jump. So if I want to pull up a search real quickly, Jump 1984, there we go. And then 5 was the search. I'm not going to type all those search parameters again, but you should have all those written down. Things like land 100 to 150K. And then we did like a search. We did close within the last 6 months. And then finally, number 6 was the menu item, which I just did. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a 10-minute break. I will start up at about 2 minutes after the hour just to make sure everyone is back. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is going to be more advanced searching. So if you have any questions,